Our learning target for today is I can learn about Peru and why weaving is an important part of Peruvian culture. I can warp a loom and weave using the weft. I'll know I've succeeded when I've woven a blanket for my llama. Buenos días, estudiantes. Hoy vamos a ir a Perú. Vamos a hacer un proyecto de arte con llamas. Off we go to Peru. It's time to learn about weaving. Here are a few facts about Peru. Peru is a country in South America. Some of the Amazon rainforest is in Peru, along with an ancient Incan city called Machu Picchu. The people in Peru speak Spanish, along with the languages of Quechua and Aymara. The Andes Mountains can also be found in Peru. Llamas play a big role in mountain culture in Peru because they are strong. They also provide wool and protection. You'll also notice that traditional Peruvian clothing is very bright and is full of woven textures. Much of their clothing is made from the wool from the llama or the alpaca. They also have alpacas too. Each of you received a llama and yarn in your supply pickup bag. Today, we're going to be weaving a blanket for our llama and decorating these beautiful creatures too. Before we get started, let's talk about weaving vocabulary so that we can make sure we all understand what we need to do. First of all, we're going to weave on a loom. A loom is a frame on which a weaving is made. In this case, we're going to use our llama for a loom. Another word you need to know is warp. The warp strings are the vertical or up and down strings that form the base for our weaving. Lastly, there's the weft string. The weft is the horizontal or side-to-side threads which are woven across the warp strings. So many W words, it can get a bit confusing. But we'll take them one step at a time. And remember, you can always pause the video or re-watch certain parts so that you understand exactly what we need to do. All right, here is a sample of what we're making today. You can see that it's woven for a blanket. There's a few little details with the pom-poms and it's also decorated. The back is not so pretty and we're not worried about the back. So don't worry that the back of your project looks messy. It's okay. So from the supply pickup, you received a baggie with a llama and a bunch of yarn and pom-poms. Take those out of the bag and find just the white piece of yarn. That's the one you're going to need first because that is our warp string. Put the rest back in the baggie so it doesn't get mixed up. All right, do you see all those little notches on your llama? And do you notice how there's a back side of the llama, the side that might have little trace marks? Go ahead and stick the yarn through that first hole by the head. It's actually not a hole, it's like a little slot to slip the yarn into. Put that by the llama's head on the back and tape it down, just like you saw there. Then you are just going to wrap the yarn around your llama, putting it in those little grooves that are cut into the llama. There's 5 on the top and 5 on the bottom. And you're just going to wrap until you have wrapped all the 5 lines of your warp string. Once you have all 5 lines of the loom, all of the warp string is there, cut off the extra and tape it down. Again, remember the back side of the llama doesn't need to look pretty because we care about just the front side and you want to make sure your strings will stay down in the back. So now I have 5 vertical strings. Those are my warp strings on the llama loom. And I'm ready now to add the color. I'm ready for weaving. So go ahead and pull out the string that you had put away. And you'll notice there should be 2 pieces of yarn. All those little pom-poms will come later. You can dig them out and put them aside. Decide what color yarn you would like to use. I tried to make sure there were 2 different colors so that you could pick. I'm going to put the red one away and use the blue one. You might have completely different colors of yarn, and that's fine. Pick whichever you like best. I have a little trick here for you. If you have a paper clip, you might want to tie one end of your yarn onto the end of a paper clip because it will make our weaving so much easier. That's just a little tip if you'd like to use. You don't have to. But here's the trick. We are going to need to weave by going over and under and over and under. So I'm actually starting under one warp string, going over the next, under, and then over, and then ending with under. The whole process of weaving is over, under, over, under. For those of you that have woven with me before, you probably remember saying that over and over and over. All right, I'm just going to tuck the end of my string, of my blue weft string. Remember, the weft is the part that goes across. I'm just going to tuck the end of that in the back, and I might even try to stick it under a little piece of yarn there just so it stays out of the way. It's not going to come undone, so there's no need to worry about that, but I just want it to stay out of the way. That will probably work just fine. All right, I ended by going under the last warp string. I need to go over because that's what I would need to do in order to make sure the weaving stays tight. So I went over and then under the next one, over, under, and I'm ending with over. And did you notice how easy my paper clip makes that whole process? That's the only reason I use one for this project. You certainly don't have to. So how do you know if you're doing it correctly? Well, if you're doing it correctly, you will notice a pattern that starts to form. That on one direction, you have the over, under, over, under. On the other, it's opposite. So this is locking my fibers, or in this case, my yarn, locking it together. There's nothing that's bunching up funny or stacking on top of each other. Everything stays in a nice line. And you'll notice that's the whole thing. I am just going to go over, under, back and forth to create my woven blanket on the llama. Now, if you do find that you make a mistake, and it happens all the time, it's not a problem, the great part about this art project is that you can just undo it. Just take out the string and start again. Try and try again. I know 3rd graders, this is a new project for you. You have not done this kind of weaving before. 4th graders and 5th graders, you have done weaving with me, so you probably remember that it's easy to fix mistakes. We just take them out and we try again. And we make sure that our hands are following the pattern. Notice I'm pulling my string carefully through so that I can check and make sure I've done everything correctly. I like to kind of bunch up the yarn only because I don't want any holes in my blanket. I'm going to speed up the rest of this video so that I can finish making the blanket and then we can move on. But remember, there's no need to rush. If you need any help, pause the video, go back, check it out, and if you get stuck, please let me know. I would be very happy to work through this with you too. Okay, so I have woven my yarn all the way down, and now I'm tying off my string. This is pretty easy. It's kind of like just sticking the yarn through that last warp string and tying a little loop around it, as if you were almost tying a shoelace. You don't have to worry about it coming out. It probably won't. I've pulled it fairly tight, as you can see, and now I'm just going to cut it off. Again, it's probably not going to come out. No need to worry. All right, There's my little llama's blanket, and now let's add the embellishments. We're going to put on some pom-poms, and actually if we were in Peru and seeing some of these beautiful llama decorations, we would see a lot of tassels. Tassels are used a lot in Peruvian art, and for the sake of our tiny little llamas, we are just using pom-poms because teeny tiny tassels would be a challenge to make. I'm putting quite a lot of glue down there so that I can put the pom-poms on my llama. Now I don't need to use all of the ones that came with my bag. I can choose how many I want to use. That's up to you. So go ahead and put on the pom-poms for your llama. We're going to leave those warp strings right where they are because we wouldn't want that to come off. We don't want our weaving to all come unraveled. Okay. We've done the hard work. Yoo-hoo! It looks amazing, you guys. So we are ready to move on to decorating the body of our llama. Grab your markers and let's keep going. All right, first off, grab a Sharpie and go around the edge of the llama. You'll notice that I'm getting as close to the edge of the cardboard as I can. I don't want anything to go on the table, so I'm really being very careful to just go along the edge. This is just helping to outline the shape of the llama. I noticed it made a big difference in making it stand out, and so I would like for you to go ahead and trace the outside edge. And then we need to, of course, add the face onto the llama, some eyes. A good way to do their little snouts is just to do kind of a V shape, a little line, and then a little mouth that goes across as well. I know that I want to have the decoration around the neck. That is something that you'll notice even more on llamas in Peru. They often have some decoration on their neck. Those would often be tassels. I'm also going to just color in some ears. You get to do this part however you want. You don't need to feel like you need to make your llama look like mine. There's even a chance I might see some Fortnite llamas, I'm guessing, so any kind of llama you want to create is good with me. Just be sure that you take your time and create a beautiful work of art. All right, I'm going to speed this part up as well. It's just me decorating my llama, and you can decide how you want to create your llama. And there we have it. Our llama project is complete. We have woven a blanket using the warp strings and weft, and now it's time to turn in your llama. Be sure to take a picture of it in Google Classroom. You can turn it in right on a slide that looks like this. And I really want you to write your name on the back of your llama so that you can send it in and I can put it up on a bulletin board. We're going to have a beautiful display of colorful llamas, so be sure to send this in at the next supply drop-off.